Hello, my beautiful people. My name is Andra J, and welcome to another episode of Time Out with your girl. As you can see by the title of the video, you know what this video is going to be about. In the last episode of Time Out with your girl, I said the Celtics have made questionable moves in the past. So, in today's video, I will be going over the Boston Celtics timeline, specifically 2014 to the present, and discussing the good and the bad. Starting with the 2014 draft, the Celtics drafted Marcus Smart, who will play a key role for the team in the near future. Starting from the 2014 season, the Celtics starting lineup consisted of Rajon Rondo, Avery Bradley, Jared Sullinger, Kelly Olynyk, and Jeff Green. However, the Celtics would trade away the only player left from the Big Three era in Rajon Rondo for Jay Crowder, Brandon Wright, Jameer Nelson, a 2015 first-round pick, and a 2016 second-round pick. The Celtics this year would attempt to acquire Kevin Love. However, once they saw they could not get Love, Danny Ainge decided to get rid of Rondo, completely starting anew and getting young players.
I will never sit up here and say that there's any player that's untradeable ever. But the notion that we might be trading him because of some reason other than we think that we can be better, trading any player because of some reason, because his contract situation, I've heard speculation of, we're dissatisfied with him or his attitude. I mean, that stuff is so false.
Rajon, regardless of the rumors, you're steadfast, you want to stay here.
How many times you want me to say it?
We can say it again, one more time.
We discussed it on media day. My thoughts and my opinions as far as the organization hasn't changed. So.
We're resigned that this is going to be a way of life.
Yeah, it's a way of life since I've been here. It's just part of it.
Has Danny or anyone else spoken to you since this latest batch has come up, or?
No.
In 2015, the Celtics traded away Marcus Thornton and a Cleveland 2016 first-round pick for Isaiah Thomas. Many doubted Isaiah Thomas, being that he was only 5'9" and he was chosen last in the 2011 NBA draft. However, the Celtics would go on to win 22 of the 34 games led by Isaiah Thomas and would finish the season with a record of 40-42 to earn the 7th seed. Sadly, the Cavaliers would end the Celtics season. After being swept by LeBron and the Cavaliers, Danny Ainge sought to upgrade the team talent-wise.
Free agency is hard. I think it's unlikely, but possible. And so we're gonna go after any and everybody that we think is a significant player to upgrade our talent roster. And when I say upgrade our talent, like, you got to be pretty good to upgrade our talent because we have good players. And so we're going after all the top names on the list, and we'll see what happens.
The Celtics would then make an offer of 4 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks to the Charlotte Hornets in an effort to move up in the draft. However, the Hornets rejected their offer, and the Celtics would fail at an attempt to acquire Justice Winslow, who would be drafted by the Miami Heat.
Always looking for quality over quantity. So we have a lot of picks, and so we'd like to make fewer picks. Having discussions to move up with both of our picks in the first round. We're trying to move up with at least one of them.
How disappointed are you that you didn't move up?
Not disappointed. We tried. It just didn't happen.
The Celtics draft Terry Rozier, R.J. Hunter, and Jordan Mickey. season, Isaiah Thomas started his growth as an NBA player and ultimately became an All-Star. The Celtics, led by Isaiah Thomas, would finish the season 48-34 and earn the 5th playoff seed. The Celtics get eliminated in the first round by the Atlanta Hawks. However, this Celtics team, along with the All-Star player in Isaiah Thomas, generates a lot of buzz among the NBA and the media.
Steve Ballhead, Boston. Guys, Isaiah, Jay, among the difficult parts, if you lose the series, that's tough. But when you look around the room and know that there's bound to be changes made with guys that you kind of bonded with for an entire season or longer, is that tough?
That's just the business of the NBA. One thing I do know, I ride with these guys till the wheels fall off. I mean, this was a special group. Hopefully we can all stick together and have something special in the future, but I love those guys in the locker room, and hopefully we can keep this together.
At this point, the Celtics are able to sign Al Horford as a free agent while still having future draft picks to build with at their disposal. In the 2016 draft, they acquired Jaylen Brown, another player who would have a significant impact on their team's future. The 2016 starting lineup remained the same as 2015 with the exception of Al Horford, Jaylen Brown, Jonas Jerebko, and Terry Rozier. The 2016-2017 season was the season where Isaiah Thomas would break out. The player who once was the last pick in the NBA draft was now an All-Star, selected All-NBA, and finished 5th place in MVP voting after LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook. The Celtics surprisingly finished the season with a record of 53-29 and earned the first seed in the Eastern Conference. Isaiah Thomas wielded his team over the Wizards in 7 games. However, Thomas reached his threshold and would miss the last 3 games of the conference finals with a hip injury, and the Boston Celtics fell to the Cleveland Cavaliers once again. The Boston Celtics would then draft Jason Tatum, a player who is now deemed to be a future top 5 talent in the NBA. In the 2017-2018 season, Gordon Hayward, who was at the time stepping into his prime and was coming off of the season of his career with the Utah Jazz, would sign a max contract with the Boston Celtics.
Kyrie's side of the camp is disgusted because their mentality is that they didn't put this out. They believe LeBron James and his camp put this out. LeBron James people obviously categorically deny such a thing, but Kyrie Irving's side of the camp believes that LeBron has put this out because LeBron was a bit perturbed at what he had heard Kyrie Irving told Cleveland Cavaliers management. So it clearly is a dysfunctional situation right now, and it seems to be going south.
Kyrie Irving with Kyrie Irving.
Kyrie Irving.
Kyrie Irving.
He's embarking on a new chapter in his career this season after being traded from the Cleveland Cavaliers to the Boston Celtics in pursuit of being the leader of his own squad. We welcome Kyrie Irving to the First Take.
This is also when Boston would trade for Isaiah Thomas. This move by Boston was looked down upon by some people. Now, when you are thinking about a low risk, high value, it made perfect sense to trade Isaiah Thomas. You would be getting a more polarizing player in Kyrie Irving for Isaiah Thomas and Jay Crowder. I think anybody in their right mind would not hesitate to make that move. However, when you think of what Isaiah Thomas endured while playing with Boston, I see why people had an issue. You have him coming back and playing in a series after a 10-hour mouth surgery, and then you count in the loss of his sister. It is clear to see why anyone would think the Celtics did not do right by Isaiah Thomas.
Where are you finding not only the strength to play, but to excel in this hotly contested environment?
My family, my friends, they tell me to just keep going. My sister wouldn't want me to stop. The only thing about it is once I leave this gym, I hit reality and she's not here.
Gordon Hayward would unfortunately suffer a gruesome injury in the season opener that would cause him to miss the rest of the season. However, in spite of the Gordon Hayward injury, the Celtics would continue to play well. The Celtics finished the season 55-27 and they had the 2nd seed. But when it rains, it pours. Kyrie would then be ruled out of the rest of the season with an injury. Many thought without Kyrie, the Celtics' chances of making it through the playoffs would dwindle. The young core, including Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Morris, Terry Rozier, and Marcus Smart, really stepped up. They defeated the Milwaukee Bucks led by Giannis, the Philadelphia 76ers, and even though they did not win, they took LeBron James and the Cavaliers to a Game 7 in the Eastern Conference Finals. Going into the 2019 season, there was a lot of promise for the Boston Celtics. The team was considered to have great depth coming into the season. Kyrie Irving would be resigning, you would have a top-tier talent in Jaylen Brown, who is a great two-way player, and Jason Tatum, who has the potential to be a top 5 player. We're also thinking about how LeBron at the time had parted ways with the Cleveland Cavaliers, and he made his exit from the Eastern Conference to join the Los Angeles Lakers. Kawhi was supposed to be leaving the Raptors, the 76ers lost Jimmy Butler, and KD would be injured going into the 2020 season. Many people thought this was the Celtics' chance to be the new kings of the East, and many said that this was the team that was deep enough to beat Golden State. And the season opener against the 76ers deemed to have proved this point where the Celtics would blow out the 76ers. However, it seemed to go downhill after that. This Celtics team was very inconsistent, and oftentimes you didn't know which team you were going to get. The overly talented Boston Celtics team that once was said to have the potential to beat the Warriors, or a Boston Celtics team that just seemed like they couldn't piece the pieces of the puzzle together. This team that had so much depth and potential would lose to the likes of the Magic, the Suns, Detroit, and the Knicks without Porzingis. After sweeping the Pacers, the Celtics would be embarrassed by the Milwaukee Bucks. Many people blame Kyrie as the reason for the Boston Celtics' failure because of his lack of leadership, how ball dominant he was, his lack of defense, and of course, you have people labeling him as a locker room cancer. No doubt am I holding Kyrie accountable for his actions because due to the media, whatever you say will be broadcasted and it will get back to your teammates. And that doesn't help the situation, nor does it help the team chemistry.
Around with, I guess, the ups and downs.
Experience. The best thing I can say is experience. We're lacking it, and because of that, we have a lot of learning to do. It matters the type of preparation you have, what you're going out and trying to accomplish. What's the big picture? What are we doing here? These are a lot of things that I don't think that some of my teammates have faced of just every single day. It's not easy to be great. So the things that you're doing, that you've done your whole entire career, of being able to, kind of coast by in certain situations, and you've gotten away with your youth and stuff like that. Being on a championship ball club, you can't get away with that. I got to be better as the leader of the team of doing so and making sure that these guys have more experience in certain situations like that.
To say that Kyrie Irving was the sole problem for the Boston Celtics' failures is a stretch. As far as his lack of defense and ball-dominant play style, correct me if I'm wrong, but hasn't Kyrie always been this way? It was nothing new that Kyrie had a ball-dominant play style and he was never a lockdown defender. Therefore, you knew what you were signing up for when you traded for him. Many people like to bring up how the Celtics went 12-3 without Kyrie Irving in the 2018-2019 season. Out of all the teams they faced, only 3 of those teams were considered playoff teams. Those teams were the Brooklyn Nets, Philadelphia 76ers, and the Detroit Pistons. And if we're being technical, the Brooklyn Nets would hand them 2 out of 3 of those losses. One of my biggest critiques of the Boston Celtics at this time was having an abundance of shot creators. After the 2018 playoff run, you couldn't help but to believe that players such as Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Terry Rozier, Marcus Morris, and Marcus Smart wanted more touches, which they deserved them. Then you would have to somehow work Kyrie, who was already a ball-dominant guard, and Gordon Hayward into the lineup. Although I don't think Kyrie was the sole reason for the Boston Celtics' failures, due to the locker room environment, I think it was best for Kyrie to part ways with Boston. Kyrie Irving leaves in free agency, which frees up $30.1 million. Al Horford leaves, which frees up $38.2 million. Marcus Morris, $10.2 million. Terry Rozier, $9.2 million. This provided the Celtics with the projected cap room of $33.2 million. Boston also had enough resources to buy a max free agent in Kemba Walker. I don't think the Kemba Walker signing was necessarily bad, However, I do not think the signing made their situation any better. In my opinion, when you make a trade or you acquire pieces, you want to go for pieces that make you better. Kemba Walker to me is a less talented version of Kyrie that didn't give you the locker room issues that Kyrie did. There was a time where the Celtics had to play without Kemba Walker, and Jason Tatum led the team, averaging 35 points on 50-40-90 splits. All of that to say, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown already showed you what they could do and the potential they held as future stars of the league. So why not use your resources to add improvements to your bench and build around Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown? As of recently, the Boston Celtics made it to the Eastern Conference Finals and they were defeated by the Miami Heat. That series realistically was Boston's to win, but they just couldn't get the job done. The Celtics would either blow leads or they would just play well enough just to make it by in the last quarter of the game. For example, you have Game 1. The Celtics blew a 14-point lead with 11 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Game 2. They had a 15-point lead with 9 minutes left in the third quarter and they failed to capitalize on that opportunity. Game 3. They had 20 points in the first quarter and Miami almost stole the game from them, bringing it within 5 points. Game 4, the Miami Heat had the lead for the vast majority of the game. So after looking at the past decisions and patterns of the Boston Celtics, you would hope that your stars in Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum don't want to part ways with you in the future. You look at Gordon Hayward, who joins the Celtics, and he is expected to be the first and or second option at least, and he is reduced to being the fourth or fifth option on the team. You think of Kemba Walker having one bad playoff performance, and right after, Danny Ainge is trying to trade him away just for mere picks. And I'll even throw in Isaiah Thomas in there because although he was no Kyrie Irving, he still gave his all to the Celtics.
I sacrifice, obviously my talent, I think the most. Me being out there and giving my full style of play, how I play, how Terry Rozier play. I feel like I couldn't be that person this year.
And why do you feel you couldn't be that person?
Just obviously in the shadow of some guys. I feel like a lot of the ball was in either Kyrie or Gordon Hayward's hand most of the time. So I feel like, either Terry Rozier was just in the corner or, just on the bench.
I know some may say that the NBA is a business and a team has to do whatever they can to win, but as the Boston Celtics, I would hope Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum don't make a business decision and want to take their talents somewhere else. That was the end of the video today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Also, you guys, write down in the comments if you have anything specific you want me to talk about. Again, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.